I am a high school math teacher, and we were creating a schedule for next year and divvying up workloads. I noticed I got almost 50% of the test creation and had 2 plannings missing from my schedule next year, for every one for the other 6 women in my department. There are 8 of us. My department head assigned herself nothing as she is managing and needs every prep. But that's another quibble. I am not the newest and in fact have seniority some of these women, but I'm also not the most experienced, so it's not like these are struggling new teachers who need help. So, I asked why it was divided this way. I was told, well, Ms. Millie is pregnant and the rest of us have families. If you have to stay late, it's no big deal. I can go to my principal and deal with it that way. What they've done actually breaks the union contract. But I really was offended by this. I tried to explain my offense, and they literally stared at me gobsmacked. I actually want to know how to discuss this with them. These are all women who I have previously gotten along with and liked. When the last one, Ms. Millie, got pregnant this year, there have been some conflicts. She is in my grade level. And they made me take on some of her work basically because she had some complications. This I did, but I think planning for me to do more is very different than an emergent health issue. As well as some uncomfortable situations for me, having to participate and buy stuff for her baby shower. When I'm not really into those things, but I did so to not cause waves. A lot of people have advised go to the union, go to the principal, and I absolutely will if necessary. I want to be clear, I'm not worried at all that I'll be forced to work this schedule, but these are my colleagues. Many have been working with me 5+ years, and we have lots of meetings and times together, where it's helpful to get along. So I do try to get along, like the baby shower thing, and be a good work friend and colleague. I just want a better way to communicate myself than I had today. I was entirely shocked and very indignant and just found myself unable to express myself well, and I was hoping for ways to approach that someone with their attitude might understand because I can't empathize with it at all. Myself and viewing the other side is how I always try to look at problem solving. My brother-in-law has always been a bit of a ruckus. Just a very jolly guy, used to be a hard-partied when I first knew him, but not so much now. I mean, he still likes to drink and he smokes weed, but nothing compared to how he used to be. He stays in the basement apartment, which is a full apartment, separate from ours, with a kitchen and bathroom etc. In our house ever since he lost his apartment. He has never really been able to keep a good job, no college education, and also ADHD. And we live in NYC, so affording rent is impossibly hard lately. This was supposed to be a temporary thing for him, out of desperation because he lost his apartment. I should say that he has gone through multiple phases of depression from just living hard much of his life. I remember seeing him when he was in his 20s and he was just a damn mess. Living in shit apartments and working shit jobs, and I remember he was super depressed, like, you know, that kind of depressed. For a bit around a decade ago because of how awful his life was. And it was awful. I won't sugarcoat it. He was getting mugged in his area constantly. His apartment was horribly small and he worked horribly long hours. His ex-wife was awful to him and cheated on him. But in the past 2 months that he has been here, he's been an absolute joy. To both me and my wife and also our kids. We all love him so much. He clearly loves the basement, it's even bigger than his old apartment, and just in general it's in a much better location. He has said, multiple times, how much he loves it at our place. He also is just a great guy to have around. He is a blast with our kids and he always cooks food for us and is just a general great, funny, charismatic guy. He got a new job, working 60 hours a week at a shit job. And now he wants to move out to his friend's place all the way in Coney Island where he would be spending half of his paycheck on rent. At first, we were like, okay, well, this was our agreement, he was eventually gonna leave. But then we kinda had a family meeting and realized, hey, we want him here. I don't even care if he pays nothing in rent, he's great to have around. Just to be clear though, we did tell him he would have to pay something a month, a number we haven't decided yet. When we told him this, he kind of thought it was a joke, but then he agreed. He was very happy about it, and we were too, and we were kind of thinking like, he's a member of our house now, you know? But then he changed his mind suddenly, and was saying how he doesn't want to be a freeloader and that he thinks we are just allowing him to stay because we feel bad for him. He really will not listen to us at all when we say that we actually want him to stay. Even our kids, teens, have tried getting him to stay and he just won't accept it. Every time we bring it up to him, he sort of does this pity thing where he's like, "Come on, I know you think I'm a loser. I'm not gonna mooch off of you guys," or something along those lines. It's been around 2 weeks, and he just kind of feels bad about it. It is absolutely a pride thing for him. He technically plans on moving out in the next few weeks, but we really want him to stay. And we know that he would love to stay. I feel like there is really no chance this is some kind of deep down he hates it here kind of situation. This is 100% a pride thing for him. I met this guy in January and he became my boyfriend in February. Comes March, the world goes down the drain and we decided to move in together for the time of the pandemic. A few weeks ago, he shows me a post where this guy is challenged to an arm wrestling competition by his GF. The guy didn't seem to have any sort of training / workout, whereas his girlfriend did. I commented he might have a surprise. My boyfriend started educating me on biology and how men are stronger than women. I told him there were way too many factors to take into consideration to make such a broad comment. I have been doing weightlifting for 2 years and my boyfriend has never seen a gym in his life, so I used us as an example. That was a big mistake. He got really defensive and condescending, and made comments like, "That's cute." I just let it go. Fast forward to yesterday. He's playing some game with his friend, online, and I can clearly hear him talk about me. Well, curiosity killed the cat. At first it's all pretty and my ego is bursting, but then he says I'm delusional because I think I'm stronger than him. Pause. Seriously? I know I'm weak, but not weaker than a girl. So later, I decide to call him on his BS. I asked him if he wanted to come work out with me the next day, this morning, so he can show me how strong he is. He accepted and I was happy because I had been dying to bring him and initiate him to something I'm passionate about. So, this morning, we went to my friend's garage. My region allows groups of 10 or less and we wipe everything. I told him we're gonna do deadlifts. It's my favorite exercise and I was already planning to test my personal best, so it was perfect. My friend was there cause he corrects my form and it's been our Sunday ritual since COVID-19. We started light and slowly worked our way up, doing the same number of reps as the other. Comes 185, his form starts to crumble, so we made him go lighter. But 185 really isn't that much for me, so I kept stacking the plates. He looked very supportive and impressed the whole time. I ended up beating my personal best at 265. I was ecstatic and so were they. When we got in the car, he was very silent. I assumed he was just tired. We got home and that's when he exploded and asked me if I was proud of myself. Apparently, I humiliated him in front of my friend. I apologized. I didn't realize he was feeling that way. He got angry and said it really changed the way he saw me, like I'm less of a woman now. He stormed to the basement. I started collecting my things. But now I'm wondering if I should have been reading between the lines and stopped at 190 or something. Or just dropped it and never suggested we work out together. I knew very well I was stronger than him, but I just had to prove it to him. I'm a professional ballet dancer for a living, but I also do some modeling in my spare time. Last weekend, I was doing a latex shoot. Before anybody says anything, it wasn't anything fetish-wise. It was just a shoot that called for wearing more uncommon types of fabrics. My outfit was a black full-body catsuit, so think of a skin-tight garment that covers from neck to toe, including gloves. If you've ever put on a wetsuit, then you can probably imagine how much of a pain it is. It's a pretty in-depth process that involves lots of baby powder, a lot of sweat, and some less than ladylike stances. Dressing usually takes anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes start to finish. I always dread it, but can't argue with the results. Anyway, my boyfriend was in my dressing room as I was getting changed. He doesn't always come along for shoots, but I needed him that day because my car is being repaired and we needed to go somewhere afterwards. His one kinda annoying thing is that he talks to me while I'm getting changed even though I very politely asked him to let me do it in peace. If I'm just putting on a dress or something less complicated, it's not a problem. But with latex, you have to concentrate, seriously. My facial expression is pretty similar to when I'm doing heavy leg presses or squats at the gym, so that the garment slips on correctly and, more importantly, you don't rip it. It's very easy to tear if you're not careful. And a full-body catsuit can cost upwards of $700 to $800 minimum. So as I'm struggling, may have been on the floor on my back with my feet up on a chair, pushing my butt up to get the garment over my hips, he won't stop talking. Come on, girl, you got this. Do you want help? I don't think you put on enough baby powder. Babe, you got this, get that big ass in there. And I politely asked him several times to just let me concentrate. He responds by saying, relax, I'm just trying to help, before patting me on the butt. I'd had enough. I demanded he stand outside because he was being super distracting and I couldn't afford to rip the garment. I didn't ask him to help because there's a technique to getting latex on and he doesn't have it. He got all pissy and was like, whatever, maybe you need a bigger size anyway, before leaving the shoot completely and taking the car. I had to get an Uber home after the shoot. On one hand, I was getting super frustrated, I was hot and sweaty, and combined with my kinda short temper, I was getting pissed off that I couldn't get the suit on. On the other hand, I asked him multiple times not to comment or distract me. And I never indicated that I was in the mood to be touched.